Well, I love the Garden. The Garden, it hasn't been as good to us, but it's kind of the new one has been better. And give Virginia a lot of credit. Tony Bennett has done an incredible job in a few years there, and his team played so hard and physical and tough. And as he said to me, and I agree with him, it's the way the game should be played. These guys might not agree, and his guys might not agree, but I thought. They're fans too. They had a lot of people here. It was almost like a home game. But all in all, these two guys, we said we were going to have to go inside. We thought we would make them double us. And first play of the game, Adrian made an incredible pass. We got a three, kind of loosens them up right away. And these two guys, we worked on some high to low. We worked on some different things. But they both shot well from the line. They both rebounded pretty well. And we beat a hell of a team, so I'm just excited about it.
We'll begin with questions for Michigan State student-athletes Adrian Payne and Brandon Dawson. If you have a question, there's one on the right.
Hey, Brandon, a little bit to your guys' ability to take a punch. You've shown you can overwhelm teams, and just does this go back to after the Michigan game and Illinois game, the not pointing fingers and the kind of resolve when somebody hits you?
Yes, when those guys went on that run, Coach talked about us just staying poised, and I think it was very important for us to do that. Like you said, we didn't start pointing fingers. We stayed together, and I think guys like Adrian Payne, Keith Applin, and Denzel, they just kept us in the game. And like I said, we just kept our poise, and we just didn't give up.
Next question for student athletes from Michigan State. Just a reminder to state your name and media outlet with your question. Is there one on the right? In the front.
Josh Mansour, Detroit Free Press. Brandon, you posted a photo on Instagram after the Big Ten championship game where you talked about, it was with Coach Izzo, and you talked about how you had at low times thought about transferring, and now to come all the way here to full circle. I guess what was that process like, and what was the month and a half where you're out with a broken hand and trying to get yourself ready for an NCAA tournament run like?
It was hard, coming out of high school, and Coach, he's been, just telling me that, I just needed to play harder, and we just need more, out of you. And, like you say, every freshman, go through the process of, not getting, all the balls, not getting all the touches, not scoring a lot of points. And it was frustrating. I was, like you said, I was kind of ready to leave. And, Coach, he hung in there, and, I believed in him. I trusted him.
The next question's further back on the right.
Matt Sharvin of Detroit News. Adrian, it seemed like much of the night it was frustrating, and it was with the physical play, it was tough to get the ball in the block. But just talk about kind of hanging in there and then hitting that three-pointer late. Was that the plan on that play? And I guess just how tough was that to make that shot when you're having this physical, tough, draining of a night as that?
I was just trying to, I missed. First of all, I didn't shoot the first three that I had opportunity to. And, they called a timeout. Coach talked to me about it. And then, the second time, it was just another opportunity that happened. And I just took it, stepped up, and, knocked it down.
Looking for the next question. We have one on the left for Zach.
Zach Braziller, New York Post. Brandon, when you were out for those 9 games, you heard people saying how much the team missed you. What was that like for you, knowing how much they needed you?
It was tough, and being out for those 9 games, I think it was tough on me because just watching those guys play, each and every night, and for me, just making a bad decision that I made, I learned from it a lot. That didn't stop me from coming in and working hard, and I think that, being out for those 9 games, I just told myself that, my team need me, and I just need to step up and be a man, and that's what I did.
We're still looking for questions for our student athletes, and let's move toward the front on the aisle.
Yeah, for both the guys, can you just talk about the way Virginia started the second half and how you felt once the team fell behind to Virginia there in the second half after that 9-1 run?
Brandon, please take that first.
Well, Virginia is a very, very, very tough team, and those guys just never gave up, man. Coming to the game, Coach, he told us that, we better be ready for a dogfight. That's what it was. And, like when they went on that run, like I said before, we never lost our poise. We stayed together. We didn't point any fingers. We just stayed positive. And, like I said, Virginia's definitely a tough team, one of the tough teams we played, all year. So I got to give credit to those guys.
Adrian.
We knew that there was going to be a good game, and we knew that they was going to go on the run. They came out first half with a lot of energy, and they hit us in the mouth. And we just had to stay together, and that's what we did. We just tried to fight through it. And once we got everybody rolling and going, then we just tried to continue to keep the lead and just keep fighting from there.
Follow up, and sir, your name and media outlet before your
sir.
question.
Mike Griffith, MLive Media Company. Late in the game, Adrian, you hit a three coming out of a timeout. Was that the play call in the huddle? And if so, what was your thought as you went back on the floor knowing you were going to get the shot?
I didn't really think I was going to get the shot. It was sort of an option play. And, I think it was Keith that came off. Yeah, I think it was Keith that came off of it. He read it. And, it was either he drive to the basket or, hit the guy in the corner, or, he got the throwback. And he hit the throwback, and that was me. So, I was wide open, so I tried to step up and knock it down.
Back left for Zach.
Adrian, you said you passed up the three before the timeout, and Coach talked to you. What did Coach say?
Why didn't I shoot the first one?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Next. Zach, go ahead. Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. What did you say when he asked you why you didn't shoot it?
I said it was my bad. I definitely should have shot it, and I didn't read it right. So next time I said I'm gonna knock this next one down if I get it, and that's what I did.
On the back right.
Tom Merriam, Sports Final Radio. Adrian, can you talk about the team's mindset after Virginia tied it with 2 minutes to go and you got the possession?
We was hungry, and we knew that it was gonna be a dog fight, and we knew that around that time that they went on their run. It was winning time, and that's what you just heard from the huddle. That's what you heard from everybody, and we just try to continue to stay together and fight from there.
Is there a final question for Adrian or Brandon before we let them go? There's one on the back right.
Joe Rexrow, Detroit Free Press. Just for both of you guys, is that the best defense you've played against this year, or where would you rank it? Among defenses you've seen in your college career.
Brandon first, please.
For sure, I would say that's top five, because I think against Kentucky and Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, I think we played great defense. We watched film, and our coaches, our managers, they do a great job of preparing us for any team, and that's what we did. We watched a lot of film, and Coach, he's been in his position plenty of times, so we were definitely ready for it.
Adrian, please.
I would rate it up there, kind of high. I think we played great defense, but I know that we can get better. We definitely had some mistakes, and they capitalized on when we made mistakes, and it's something we can watch this film and get better from, and we're just trying to continue to get better from there.
We'd like to thank Adrian and Brandon for joining us here in the interview room. They're going to head back to the Michigan State locker room, which is open for another 4 minutes. See you tomorrow. Congratulations. First question for Coach Izzo is on the right toward the front. And just remember, everyone, please, your names and media outlets before your questions.
Tom, Graham Couch of the Lansing State Journal. Can you talk a little bit about your team's ability to take a punch? They've shown they can be overwhelming, but in the last 2 games, really, and what that means in terms of winning a championship or moving forward.
Well, we did take a couple of them, and I thought the start of the second half, I think we had 5 turnovers in the first 6-7 minutes, and they looked like they were really running. They were cranking that offense up, and that thing, they're getting guys moving and cutting and screens and hits, and it was, I give our guys a lot of credit. And we got in some foul trouble with Harris out, and that made it worse. But this team, I think, learned through the adversity of what we dealt with when we had all the guys injured that you got to just keep battling. As my football coach says, just stay the course, and we kind of stayed the course. And yet I was disappointed. I thought in the first half we gave up some transition D just by not knowing who our men were. And yet I thought our half-court defense in general was maybe one of the best. They shot 35 and 33, and that was with a couple of just complete mental mistakes. I thought once we were in the half-court, Ours might have been as best as we've had in a long, long time, to be honest with you, since the Michigan game, for sure.
Next question's in the front on the right.
Josh Mansour, Detroit Free Press. Tom, you've said for the better part of 2 years you guys haven't seen the kid I recruited when it comes to Brandon Dawson. How close is this to that kid, especially not just with offensively, defensively, but when you see him yelling, being very vocal, and vocally leading this group?
Well, I'm going to say this, and it'll probably get me in trouble with him, but I think you've seen a lot more of. But, you know, there were some rebounds, there were some defensive plays. I mean, Brandon is, he's a freak athlete, both strength and athletic ability. Very, very smart player. He's not been a very good shooter. He's worked hard on it. I told him God might have taken his hand when he broke it, but he gave him a jump shot when he returned because he's a lot better shooter. He worked hard when he was out, you know, and I think sometimes, like Morris Peterson told him, I had him call Mo Pete, and they talked, and I think sometimes, you know, adversity or slap in the face or whatever you want to call it, sooner or later you got to put up or shut up. And to Brandon's credit, he really has gotten better, but I swear to you, I think he's got a long way to go yet. That's the exciting part for me.
Next question's toward the back on the aisle.
Seth Gruen, Chicago Sun-Times. Tom, during that first 5 minutes you alluded to when Virginia's hands were real active, how difficult was it for you to even call plays?
It was difficult. The place was hopping. God, it was a hell of an atmosphere in there. And, you know, we got in a little bit of foul trouble. I had a key guy out or two. I thought Denzel was getting tired because he had played a lot of minutes. And they were putting up the pressure on both ends. You know, we were chasing them around those screens. And we picked the defensive way we wanted to cover them for the most part. I think it was pretty good. And you know, the turnovers led to some things, and we didn't play good, and they did play good. And I thought the difference in the game was we survived that stretch and bounced back and actually played pretty well after that.
Up in the front and the center.
Tom, Jim Comparoni, SpartanMag.com. Getting back to that play when you came out of the timeout when Adrian hit the three-pointer, Keith Appling had to run it, and he ran a pick and pop, and it wasn't there, and he had to rerun it correctly. How important was it for Keith to stick with that and deliver it, firstly? Secondly, I think you had to go with Keith Appling on Joe Harris when Gary was in foul trouble, that 6'1" versus 6'6". How did he do with that? How did Keith do with the play to make the play type of thing?
You know, Keith Appling's been through a lot this year. As we all know, he's still not the player he was. I went through his stats in his first 18 games, and you look at the last 18, and it's been night and day, you know, and that kid has kind of had some dreams crushed. And so we spoke a lot in the last week or two, and I give him credit. You know, he guarded real well today. He missed that one layup on the right hand, but he made that big one with the left hand. And, you know, he ran our team pretty good. I mean, he's not what he was. I mean, he's not quite back to that with his shot and that. But he guarded better. He pushed the ball pretty well the first half. And that play, it was, you know, we were trying to pick and pop Adrian or get Keith to the hole and kick it out to Gary. And when he came off it once and then he came off it the second time, and, boy, he hit him. It was a great play. He got in there and tossed it back, and AP hit the shot, you know. And I was disappointed he passed up the first one, especially with the shot clock going on. Adrian's not a selfish kid, but he doesn't pass up many open threes, you know, and he did.
Two questions in the back on the right.
Matt Charvin, Detroit News. Tom, not to bring you down after a win, but Gary Harris, obviously the foul trouble hurt him tonight, but how important is it moving forward that you really need to get more offensively out of him moving forward?
You know, it's funny in this game. You just think how many times we said, when are we going to get more out of AP? That was last year, you know. Then when are we going to get something out of Brandon Dawson? And there's not enough balls out there to get a lot out of everybody, but I think the foul trouble hurt him, Matt, more than anything. But we got to get him more aggressive, too, because, you know, we cleared out a side for him when he got the 1 3-point play. We need Gary Harris to get more shots. I mean, and some of that's our fault, but he can't be 2 for 5. So at the same time, this is probably the least amount of shots we got, 47 shots. We just didn't get as many, and that's what happens when you're in a possession game like you are, and you don't offensive rebound as well. This team did not offensive rebound very well all year, And tonight they killed us on the offensive boards and scored on a lot of them. That was maybe the most disappointing part of the night for me, but we'll get Gary back. He's been there, done that, and he'll be fine.